This is Business Without Bullshit. An extra, I guess. We recorded you and talked to you about your diagnosis in October?
Maybe. Or November. Autumn. Before the end of the year, only a few weeks into my diagnosis.
And I guess this is just a catch-up, really. You know, we're now sitting just past the 1st of March. 1st of March yesterday, today, 7th?
No, we're on the 6th of March.
6th of March. We're on the 6th of March.
I'm half delighted and then I'm half like, fucking stop the clock. Like,
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, and it's great to see you on tip-top form. So what is your, what's your update then?
So I guess once I was told I'd be lucky to make Christmas. I breezed through Christmas, was fucking delighted. Since breezing through Christmas, I decided, well, I'm going to fucking live forever now. I got really sick. So I was on fulfuranox, which is this horrendous chemo that is 3 days and is, if you kind of survive it, you do well. So I managed to survive it and halfway through got very badly poisoned, which was probably not long after recording here, actually, although my poisoning had started. So they had to give me another chemo drug to stop my poisoning. And they scanned me because they thought it had got worse. And I got really good results on my scan and everything had reduced by 50%. And we all celebrated and we all had amazing fucking Christmas as a result.
Yeah.
And then I had my actual proper review, which I knew was going to be fucking bad because I've befriended most of the people in the hospital, including security and the scanners, and they're super, super nice and super amazing at the hospital. So I had to go and get all my scans done in the new year. Did all my scans, which is when the official, after 6 treatments, where are you at? And unfortunately, my cancer had raged back, which I kind of knew because my pain levels had gone up and I start... you basically feel like you've got a gremlin. If you've been pregnant, it's like having a baby inside you. So I knew something was going on and it was growing and I felt a bit rubbish. So, I had a bad review, which depressed all of us no fucking end, because the name of the game is that the medicine has to get to grips with your cancer. Otherwise, my chances of living longer are a bit shit. So I had a shit review, but not totally bad because it's not in any new organs. So that's good.
Well, without the intermediary good news, it would have been a perfectly respectable review.
Yeah, and it's not worse than what it was. I mean, it might be now, God knows. Anyway, they decided that they would immediately change my chemo drugs. So they immediately changed me onto frontline chemo, which they give to the geriatrics because it's more common to get my cancer when you're older than when you're at my age. And they wouldn't survive. Most older people don't survive the original chemo that I had. So they've switched me and I much prefer this chemo. Whilst it's weekly, it's only a day a week. It's not the 3 days I had before. And so far, I'm touching wood, I haven't been sick. Whereas every other round, I was hospitalized every single round, most of my rounds. So I've been able to live a pretty normal life, although I've lost all my hair. On this one, I feel fine. I feel better than I did. So I carry on this chemo. I will forever be on meds to live. And at the moment, I'll have a review. They'll scan me again. They'll see whether this chemo is working or whether I'm going to start going into experimental trials or that type of thing. Because if this drug doesn't work, then I'm into experimental phase. Because we have to get to grips with the cancer and stop it growing into any more organs, basically.
Tough stuff.
Yes.
Well done. So how's it been in the hospital? What's the
we have an
like?
amazing time together.
When they give us a room.
Yeah. You are my support buddy in the hospital.
Yeah. Me and sis, like my other sister Caroline, we like going. There's much to discuss. It's very good to be able to ring a bell and bring tea. That always feels good.
So I can't fault my hospital. I am relieved I have private health insurance.
You're at the London Clinic.
Yeah, so the London Clinic, but it's London Oncology Clinic. So they have a specific cancer hospital, 5 floors. I am typically on floor 1. I know all of them. They're pretty amazing. I'm known as the most lively patient they've ever had. They now contain me within a room. They're not wild about me being on the ward because I'm a bit too lively, and a lot of the patients are pretty dull.
The cancer ward is not known for parties.
It's definitely not known for parties.
People are mostly popping in for treatment, aren't they? So you got to, at the end of the day, for people who don't understand, you sit in a chair and they attach you to a drip. I mean, at the end of the day, roughly speaking, that's what's going on.
Yeah, so you have a floor of different bays, and you're in a chair and you're being drugged, but you go through and my treatment is always the longest, and there's always issues because I've always been this anomaly that my blood isn't right, or this isn't right, or that isn't right, and you have to be fit to get treatment.
Yeah. So they sort of got to analyze you, decide whether to,
Yeah, so you can choose to do. I learned last week. You can choose, which is what I used to do. You can choose to go the day before and do all the pre-testing. And then go back the next day. Yes.
Have you been getting it wrong therefore?
No, but I was doing that. But then that's twice, that's 2 days of the week you're going to a hospital.
And I think an important question I'm sure every British person is wondering is, what are the tea and biscuits like?
Well, they're pretty good there.
Are they? The biscuits could be worked on, couldn't they? I mean, they come in packets. They are packet biscuits, usually a pair of packet biscuits, but they've got they're not very good custards.
I would like to give a shout out. Definitely the individual rooms are definitely better. You get 3-course meal.
You get the better biscuits too.
Yeah. You don't get biscuits in the ward.
They don't give you any biscuits in the ward.
You're limited. Can
you get
on
a cup
your food?
Of tea?
Yes, but it's limited.
No biscuits.
No biscuits. So you're only allowed to choose one sandwich
like
or a salad on the ward, right? Whereas I can choose a 3-course meal on level 1, which is the inpatient.
And can I? I've never tried. Can I have one when I'm there?
We would definitely get charged for that.
Oh, they can charge you, can they? Like a restaurant?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think the biscuits, it's nice to have a packet biscuit. It is nice to have a packet biscuit, but the quality's low. They're more concerned with hygiene than they are with quality. I've got to bring that, I haven't ordered it yet, the Fortnum biscuits, the Fortnum
Top
Luxury
notch.
Collection.
Yeah.
Pretty special.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at doing that too.
Any other strange discoveries in the hospital?
Well, there's a lot of single people.
Is there?
I mean, I'm definitely setting up.
Are you matchmaking?
Oh, yeah, I'm desperately matchmaking. So I wanted to start a dating agency before my diagnosis. Then I realized I'd reached an age where that was highly unsuitable. So I decided I was going to start a brothel.
Madam. You should have been a madam.
To be a madam. So I was going to start my brothel, but since my diagnosis, running a brothel is not a viable
You think
option.
you'd take the top floor at John Street or something and just...
Maybe.
I mean, it's the perfect location apart from the long walk of shame.
I am Madame Juicy because apparently I'm not allowed to use my actual name. So... but since then, I've decided, I've thus far managed to get a proposal done. So my dentist and hygienist have finally, thank God, got engaged. I'm now working on their actual wedding.
Dental and hygienists. Is that a good idea? Now they're going to get together in the same...
Oh, they've worked together for years. They're the
business
most...
is going to go down the pan.
No, they're the most wonderful.
No,
they're both
kidding.
second time round and they're the most special people. And I'm thrilled that he's finally done the deed.
No, that's fabulous. That's fabulous. How long have you been hassling?
I need to be careful because she might get upset because she thinks maybe he's only asked because of me.
Yeah.
So I've had to be really careful. But no, only,
Good enough reason as most.
Well, since my diagnosis, I was like, look, you just got to get on with it. Who knows what's going to happen? So hopefully I'm going to have a wedding. And then I'm at the moment touting. So I've got various people in the hospital and at my children's school that I really want to matchmake, but I haven't yet quite got the right people lined up. There's a lovely man in the pharmacy, have a little chat with him. Got a lovely other doctor.
There's a lot of lonely people out there, isn't there? You know, it's always the surprise, really.
I think in medicine it's really hard. They work really tough hours and long hours. So I think often you meet people at work, but if you don't meet suitable people at work, how do you then meet people?
No, that's true. And actually, my wife, listening to what she had to do as an immigrant doctor when she arrived from Trinidad, I mean, you live on the hospitals. They take you from a hospital for 10 years. He said, you didn't get lunch or you lived at the hospital, ate at the hospital. Apparently they don't do that. I don't know, maybe there's no canteen now.
The private is slightly better, but you're still working pretty long hours. By the time you get home, how do you go and meet people? I mean, it's everybody's biggest thing. If you ask anybody, most people meet people through friends or through work. And if you don't meet it that way, how else do you? So people do all the online, but you got to kiss a lot of frogs to find the right one.
I mean, it'd be a bit saucy if you had sort of Grindr in a medical workplace, people sort of shagging behind screens and stuff, It's like how going on a miniature date, because your dates would be like 20, they'd be like, right, I've got 13 minutes, I'll meet you at Ward 9, How you doing? Lovely to see you, a cup of tea. Right, see you later. I mean, you've got to have to be quick on the hospital, aren't you? And every door you'd go in, they'd be like, they'd be at it.
Bezzy, I am delighted that you're already married, because your description of what you feel us ladies.
Well, I'm just saying, no, but if you've only, my joke is that they have no time, but they met on the workplace. They'd have these miniature moments. So they'd have to compress 3 weeks into 13 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. Through this experience, you realise there are a lot more good than bad. And if we could all help each other, well, that sounds naff as hell, we could set everybody up in the right thing. I mean, I think the older you get, the harder it is, because you become more set in your ways and looking for this perfect person. And perfect doesn't exist.
But I mean, are you saying through this experience that you've seen the good in humanity? And what? And that therefore people should get together because we're good or something? You meaning like?
Well, no, I don't. I just think we should all continue to focus on there is more good in life. And we should help each other. And there are more kind people and considerate people than anything else.
Oh, I agree with that. It depends how stressed a situation is. But assuming someone's not desperate, and therefore if you go to, very poverty-stricken area and you put yourself in a situation or something that could unravel in the wrong direction, but generally speaking, it's in a street, people are all nice to each other, aren't they? How many nutters are there? It's quite a small percentage of people out there like really fucking with negative, nasty energy. I think it's the sort of greasy pole. It's the way we're all a little bit greedy and we're all a little bit jealous and we get upset with each other, and it feels much more tense than it is because of these sort of deep, complex interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I think you definitely, I mean, I'm told on a regular basis they've never had anybody so happy trotting in and chit chat. Like, I think, how you treat people is very important, and wherever you are.
Therefore, you're saying there's lots of kind people, but there's not many jolly people. There aren't many jolly people. People aren't that jolly.
No, people aren't very
Especially on the context that they feel this is a context not to be jolly in, which is often in life perverse,
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Well, in the hospital, they're definitely taught. It's the same as lawyers. It's the same bullshit, which is, you must be in a certain way. And, like the doctors and nurses and all the people that work, I mean, doctors not, but all the kind of catering stuff and everything in the hospital are all told they mustn't ask any questions, right, of patients and stuff. And as they get to know you, they then do start asking questions, right? And obviously I'm happy to tell them whatever, and then it blows their mind when they're asking. So you're partly like, actually, it's better they don't ask. And yeah, I don't know, but I think you've got to be happy. Like, fuck, life's short for all of us. So the one thing I've learned is we're all going to go at some point. I'm probably going to go sooner. I'm hoping it's going to be fucking a while. I seem to be slightly defying it, but I equally don't want to tempt fate because I can be hit down tomorrow and end up
it's tricky.
back in there.
You know, you all gotta live like, you don't have long because it's just, it's too special to
You've
miss.
taught me like I have to plan a kind of a month in advance. So I started doing all my videos. Like when I first got diagnosed, I recorded loads of stuff. And I've kind of stopped because you go into, this isn't really happening. And I'm quite happy. And I don't really want to do this stuff. And you have to get yourself really psyched up.
Yeah.
And someone said, it'd be really nice if you could leave cards for all your kids. So I went into the card shop, right, to buy all my kids like all their birthday cards for like the next 10 years. And there was a woman that came up to me. She was like, I was like, oh Christ, I hope she doesn't ask me anything. Because she's like, God, you're really buying rather a lot, you know. I'm quite a card buyer. I was like, oh, don't ask me why I'm doing this. And we had a big chat about the meaning of getting a card and how important it was and stuff. Anyway, I fucking spent a fortune. I've spent over 100 quid on these fucking cards. And I just can't quite psych myself
Just sign them all, amusingly sign them all. Love you, Mum. Love you, Mum. Love you, Mum. You know,
I haven't quite, I'm then like, I'm going to have to
They sound nice, these ideas, but they're tough. Yeah.
Well, they're really tough because what do you write, for in time to come?
I think you've got to, you know what, you do this reasonably well. I think you've got to go into acting mode. I think you've got to go into a mode that is like when you're running the cards in your head, you've got to play the part of you having birthday again and they're a bit bigger, and then just write it. I think if you stop and look at what you're trying to do, you're just going to cry. I mean, it's just one of the most impossibly painful things to have to try and do. Imagine a future that you really want to be at and the note you would have written. It's like, fuck off. So, all you can do is like a film script. You got to just like lighten it up, loosen it up in your head and just be like, right, spaceships.
So it's
fantastic. Spaceships. I love spaceships. I know you love spaceships too. Doesn't everyone love spaceships? Have you seen Star Wars yet? Love, Mum. Yeah. And it'll be much more amusing and okay, rather than, this is me from the grave again.
No.
I love you.
I know, and then it's
loved you 10 minutes ago when I wrote the one from last year. And I still love you now 10 minutes later.
So that's the thing that I then started thinking, I really want to put a story in of what I remember about them.
Do something like stories or something.
That's really harsh.
No, not story. Just write some bollocks. Just write, I was buying sandwiches in the shop yesterday and this man with an enormous head.
My favourite is a prawn cocktail.
He said his favourite was prawn cocktail.
No, it's definitely.
To be honest, we could outsource the whole thing,
Do you think that would be the answer?
I'll get a comedian to write them. you just sign them.
Sign them all. No, it is definitely not. So I've got to go back to doing the videos and doing.
It's like fucking exercise. You're just going to have to chip one off a day, Just start going, right, today, don't try and do them all in one go. You got those list of questions or something, just go, right, fuck it, here we go, bum.
Yeah.
Have your morning coffee and knock it out when your emotions not even clicked in yet.
No. I've done, I haven't. So I need to do the cards and I need to do some videos without sobbing my heart out too.
Apologise to your dad. You did
I've
it.
Written to dad.
No, when they're 16. Again, I'm telling you to apologise to your father. Your behaviour is outrageous.
God, if they're going to be anything like me, it's like, oh Christ alive.
They'll probably swap around. Like Sam's going to be like a real square and like really good boy. And like Chloe's going to be like Hellraiser,
Well, you don't know.
Look, you've been very brave talking about all these things we're talking about. But I think, look, we're going to get those fruit fly people on, aren't we? We're going to get them, and let's get a few cancer specialists to talk about cancer.
Well, they don't have much humour, my doctors. So
there's a lack of humour in the medical institution for obvious reasons.
I have asked. So I have also learned that doctors are worse than lawyers, right? On being able to give you an answer and tell you much. I mean, yeah.
How long is it going to take? How long have I got?
Yeah. Well, you don't ask that because they'll never ask that in a cancer situation. They've no idea.
Which is why they give you a short answer if they're going to give you any answer,
Yeah, to be fair, I've got an incredible doctor, but the things that he's told me hasn't quite worked out. So now he's like, I'm not telling you anything. Well, not quite. But you also, he's got the patients that write minute by minute of all their stuff.
I think that, maybe we move on, but I think that's the journey with cancer. It goes up and down. It comes back and forward. It's not linear.
At the end of the day, it's on the rise. Nobody knows the solution to it, and everybody is doing the best that they can. But
they're getting fucking close, but close in terms of 20 years. You can see some of the science they're getting up to. We might get to a point we can solve most of it or something, but have better options than chemo and things. But well, fucking shit happens, man. So
chemo isn't so bad though.
No, when we're there.
No, you keep going.
But what about? I find very confusing. I just find really confusing about how many different diets or. Everyone's got a different theory of what you would be doing, and I find that I think there is a really difficult balance between Western science that effectively needs double-blind studies, which means they're paid by drug companies, which is it works very well on some levels, but it's got its limitation. The Jamaicans think that avocado seeds, if you grind them, cure cancer, but it's well, if no one's going to do a study, no medical professional worth their salt can put their name to something that you got no evidence for, So
the Poles think carrots will solve it.
You really say carrots,
yeah.
And and I'm kind of into it, but for anyone out there on the outside saying, "Oh, just bloody do it" or something, it's you're just in a fog. Like you say, you don't even want it to be fucking real. You're dealing with it as best you can, and there's these extreme diets, or there's this diet you could do, or that diet, but it's
there are so many. So there isn't one. Everybody's got a view about it. I've asked a lot about it, if I'm to change, I'm prepared to do anything to live longer, but no one can tell you. But I
won't do that.
Right, but no one can tell you this is the one, right?
No.
And one of the issues is, a lot, I've never asked, I'm sitting here drinking some alcohol, but, in theory, I shouldn't drink, probably. I shouldn't do many things, but those are all the things that I enjoy in life. One of the fundamental problems, or at least for me, what I got told is my biggest risk at the start is weight loss. And that is just as traumatic for your body, severe weight loss, which is very common with my diagnosis. And actually, thankfully, I have a couple of extra tires. And at the moment, I'm gaining weight, which seems to be a good sign because I was really losing weight on a rapid basis despite eating all the time. And the problem with a special diet is when you're not very well, as we all know, whatever it is, you fancy certain things. If I'm told I can only eat avocado, I'm like, oh my God, that's the last thing I want to bloody
avocado
eat.
Seeds, ground.
Right. So
delicious.
You've got
I think you can eat other
really...
things, but you got. I just find it overwhelming. Which one do I do? Maybe you should do. Maybe that would be some people's frustration. You should do it because you want to live, don't you? And it's
But I want to know which one to do, and for me, I want to enjoy what life I have left.
Basically, in order to do it, it's a big fucking pain in the ass. So someone needs to tell you there's a good chance this will make a difference. Because you're doing chemo, which is a big fucking pain in the ass. And they're giving you, 50-50 odds on this chemo,
I don't even know if they're giving me that. I don't know. Do you know more than me?
No, it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. It's 50-50 we're going to move forward or backwards, and so, a diet 50-50, doesn't sound, but if that sounds worth it, I'll do that, but anyway, it's a bugger. But
I think the only, a bit like any diet, you got to follow these things pretty religiously and do things. I'm a bit rubbish at that.
Yeah. I thought you were different from me like that because you're so organised. You're not good at following rules.
I could be if someone was going to deliver it all to me. But at the moment, I'm trying to hang out with my family
Yeah,
and
yeah.
work and
Well, you just
do
want to
a-
pop a pill in the morning or whatever if you can. If you could just condense this really complicated thing into, and if you could cook my food from now on, you know, the ketosis sounds all right. Like I think I could do ketosis, but it's like, yeah. I mean, I guess you can do your own experiment by the fact that, you know, you could if they scanned you more regularly, you could do more, you know. So I'll do something, you know.
Yeah, I mean, none of the conventional doctors nor nutritionists within the cancer environment are pushing any of this stuff. I think, you know, if I had a different diagnosis, it would be different, maybe. But at the moment, it is conventional medicine. You know, I don't, you know, I'm happy to look at the alternative stuff. If someone can tell me, yeah, do this, and it's going to give you, how long is it going to give you?
Back to my problem. And unless you're selling something that they can do a double-blind study for, and they're going to make billions, no one can afford to do it. So we'll kind of, unless my theory is they need to take like the Isle of Man or somewhere and just start experimenting on it or whatever. Just pick some islands and just say, right, from now on, you guys are going to do this diet, and now you're going to do this, and then we're going to try this one. I mean, it's, you know, it's the Isle of Man, but basically it's just, you know, in the name of humanity, some, you know, the Wellcome Trust or someone should say, look, there's all these anecdotal reports that everything from this to this helps. I mean, at least they're spending some money on weed because there's something to sell. Let's do the studies, you know, find out, oh, aspirin cures cancer. Bugger. You know, all these years we've been buggering it up. You know, you just give high dose aspirin for a month and they go deaf, but they get, you know, lose the cancer or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely focused on why is cancer on the rise, right? Because cancer is on the rise like you've never seen. So it's now, you know,
particularly
50-50.
in the last year or two sort of thing.
Yeah, and so they're saying, you know, a lot must be related to diet and environment and all of these things that must be playing a part, right? So that I don't disagree with. Like it must be, you know, the stress levels and all the stuff that I used to do. Yeah, I'm sure has played a part, but also you're genetically a certain way, right? So I also believe in fate in life. Like just what was supposed to be was gonna happen, right?
Yeah. You can't go down the road of like, oh, what, you know.
Had I lived differently?
No.
And I'm so now it's like, okay, well, I'll go with conventional medicine, and what's kind of proved. But as we know, no one's got the answers at the moment, and we all expect that there should be answers. I'm kind of more chilled out about that.
Where are you now on telling people? Have you told more people or?
Not really. So it doesn't benefit anybody knowing. And I've had to tell a couple of people recently, and you watch them completely.
Yeah, as much as anything. Yeah, what the fuck do you talk about?
So I have told a handful. I don't really plan to tell any more people. I mean, people know broadly I have cancer. They don't know how bad. And I don't foresee, the only ones that I'm going to have to tell are my kids when it's nearer, which is my absolute dread.
Yeah.
And that I will need every ounce of everything. So with them, I'm having to tell them more and normalize it more and get them involved more. So for my children, they know, I tell them it's a bug and I'm getting treatment. I've now told them I'm going to forever get treatment, which they're not very happy about. And I'm having to say not that it's a bug anymore. Actually, there's a problem with my digestion, I'm now saying. Because for them in future life, you know, there's bugs everywhere. They can get real anxiety.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to use pancreas because, I mean, who the fuck has a problem with their pancreas except cancer? And I don't, it doesn't mean anything to the kids, right? So, and to anybody else, it's of no benefit knowing. And I am relatively private because I want to live a normal life. So I've told a few people who we're mates with from school, and my oldest mates know, and I hang out with those people. I am restricted in terms of I shouldn't really be doing half the things I do, and I shouldn't be seeing them out of people I see and all of these things. But actually, you just want to hang out with the people you're closest to. So it distills it down. Like, I just want to hang out with my family and my closest mates and the people I really care about. I don't really... and fun people.
So we're going to have a party?
Well, you have been on a mission to have a massive
I'm
party.
just saying, it's a few times in your life the budget is not an issue. And if the budget wasn't an issue, you know.
So I'm totally opposed to having like a living funeral, because I'm a bit like, well, I'm fucking alive.
Of course, terrible name for a party too.
I'm not up for that.
Bring your coffins.
But you have come up with a great idea that when we were kids, we adored country dancing. Not line dancing, but proper hoedowns, do-si-dos. So as
Square
children, we went to a ranch for years and years and years, and we loved that.
And our brother still lives up there. That's why James is in Durango.
So I'm well up for doing that and seeing who can come and have a good...
I think we need a horse. One horse.
You want a horse?
Oh, you need a horse and
Not
a
a
hoedown. I need to write that down, actually. One horse.
Oh, my God.
There must be a horse available.
We need a hay bale before we
hay
need
bale, and a horse.
We need a lot of hay.
Hay and horses. How about miniature horses and hay? You see, you're not using up enough of this budget, in my opinion. We could get, what are they called? Shetland ponies with hay.
Betty, we've got enough problem finding a bloody venue, let alone finding out whether they'll
we're
allow
not our mums, are we?
No. So, no, I'm up for a little party and a little do-si-do and a bit of dancing around.
Maybe we should find somewhere that does Shetland ponies and see if they got
I know some of those places.
Room.
Well, they also dress them up as unicorns.
Do they? Oh, for the kids. Where's the unicorn thing? Did Chloe do this? Out of fucking nowhere, my child just starts loving She never, everyone said, at school. He hasn't gone to school. She just starts going rainbows and unicorns. That's all she wants, rainbows. Yeah. Is that
it's
a thing?
That magical, yeah. It's that whole magical.
But where she get the unicorn? She must have just spotted it in a book or something.
Yeah, they're all around. But it does... Yeah, I mean, it does still blow my mind that I have a boy and a girl and they're relatively traditional about what they're into. Although my daughter isn't as into dolls and dress up as other girls. She's more boy orientated because she has an older brother.
Where are you on the they, then, them, then?
I can't be bothered with any of that. No.
I mean... You know, I hadn't thought about it this way, which is not what it's about at all. But someone thought, so you're indicating to people who you fancy. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Of course, you're just telling people how you want to be treated. And then I was like, actually, I mean, even though their answer's wrong, it would make, you know, probably
What do you mean you're...
Well, you're saying
if I'm a she...
Well, I know. I mean, look.
But if I'm saying I'm a she, it doesn't necessarily mean I want a he.
Well... Here's where I think it's helpful. Your name usually tells me whether you're a man or a woman, but these days, Indian name. I mean, I have years where my secretary says, "Oh, he's written to you again." I was like, "No, they're a woman," and it feels really strange when she does say he. And we had a very interesting incident with someone here writing to one of our clients, and I saw the emails too, and it's a really female name. It's like Rachel or something. That's what it looks like, and it's so rude what she's writing to Zara. You know, it's like, I shouldn't say, but it's in like, we read these and she said, God, they're really upsetting me. And I said, you need to speak. It was a bloke. And when you then reread the emails as a bloke, it was so weird. It sounded absolutely fine. Because it was like, yeah, sure. No, I wouldn't bother with that.
Yeah, so I don't think you have to say he, she, they. I think you could say Mr., Mrs., Miss. I don't see what's wrong with that.
We got a system.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. I think it's harder the more cultures you deal with and different countries and names.
Oh yeah, they don't have Mr., Miss, Japanese say san. They confuse everything. Anyway.
Yeah, so I can see the advantage of that. Like, it definitely helps to know whether people are male or female. but just purely from an approach point of view, because I think you're right. There are nuances of, men will be less faffy. Women can be, well, of course, someone's going to be
Well, it's
confessional.
just, as a woman, you expect them to be overly polite. It was interesting. And as a man, you're allowed to be a bit more short. Like, and even that is like a terrible thing. Are you finding it weird, like coming in and out of the office or coming in and out of meetings, causing trouble? Is it weird?
Yeah, I loathe it.
You loathe it?
So I'd like to kind of do more. And that's fine
It's like a child who's on summer camp.
Well, I was saying to someone today, I'd really quite like a crystal ball. And if I knew I've got 2 years or 3 years or 6 months or whatever the frig it is, then I could plan it out. But I just don't have this crystal ball. So I'd really like to come back and sort a load of stuff out, because I really did pull the ripcord. Mainly because I got told I had such a short period of time, and I literally lived in a hospital for all of that period. Now I'm not living in a hospital so much, and I don't tempt fate here. I feel like slightly better, like I can do stuff. So I'm a bit like, right, I'd like to dabble. And we'd obviously talked about, well, let's do my review and let's see about.
Well, no, I like it. You're taking everyone for lunch. I love that. Just meeting people.
Well, I feel morally like for over 20 years I've built the firm. It's at an amazing stage, and it needs to do this new hyperleap, in my view. And it's incredible how everybody's stepped up, but it needs a bit of a shuffle around, right? And it needs some things and some sorting and all of that. But not in a, that's just, we've got to keep evolving and keep doing. So I'd like to be involved in that, because it is like this massive baby that I've sacrificed. Like I've spent so much of my life here. So it's odd not being here. But as we've talked about, it's very hard to dabble, because people have stepped up. So I don't want to offend or cause problems, or, and tomorrow I could get hospitalized and, I can't do shit for weeks.
I'm sure I can get a fax machine put in.
The hospital are well aware.
Just harass people from
They
afar.
regularly tell me they've never had anybody working. I'm always up to stuff in the office.
Well, it's a deep relationship, and not least we're as a family. So working together kind of means you get to see your family, which is, interesting. It's I think it's remarkably brave of you, sis, just to talk about it. But, people always say that really annoys me. Oh, you're so brave. You're so very brave. But it is. There's some deep shit here,
I don't feel brave. I still feel very lucky. Got to understand, I have the most amazing supportive family on both sides. So what I'm married into is amazing, and what I'm part of, right?
Better than us.
No, different. But my in-laws and my existing family are outstanding. I couldn't ask for more, right? The business and the state that it's in, no matter how I want to tweak it and do and da-da-da-da-da, it's at an amazing stage of the evolution, right? So, and then I've got incredible doctors and nurses who I adore. They're really super lovely people. So I feel lucky. I think I said it before, I still fundamentally hold on to it. I could have walked out of this building one night and got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
I've been given time.
Well, there's no actual bus route outside, but
this is true. But if I'd gone to the end of the road, or got done over by one of my old. But anyway, I've been given time, right? So it's therefore it makes you focused, and hopefully I've taught other people to get their shit together. And I know mates of mine, people are beginning to not sweat the small stuff as much, and fucking hell, let's get some balance, right? Because we're all gonna go. So be focused and enjoy the time that you have, right?
I think, we're all much older. You always feel you're 18, so it's always a shock. Life starts to, curl its dark hand around you. It's we're in our mid-40s. You look around you now. I mean, there's all sorts of death that's occurred, and
Well, we're not spring chickens. I'm very disappointed. People look at me. I mean, I'm a proper cougar in the hospital now.
What? Anyway.
Well, there are these
with the
delicious.
brothel on the top floor. What do you think? Do you think like what we've done, like lawyers and accountants, and we think we're desperately clever? Do you think that's like the way it's going to be out there, or do you think like these lawyers, they're never going to get it? Like, that's what I think.
I have a problem with the professions, and I think we've got lost on a lot of things. I think that we need to evolve and help business. I think lawyers, they have a role. I think what's sad is they're there to uphold the law, and they're so in their little areas. They don't look at the bigger picture and what's really important. And I think for the survival, both accounting and law and any profession, it's the same as what's happening in medicine. Like, I have to see all these different doctors and no one's holistically putting together. I have to put it together.
Maybe the robots can do it. Because there seems to be a sort of information problem of why can't they, use hospitals? Why is it so hard to,
I think that we've become so obsessed with you've got to be the expert. So if you look, on medicine, it's like you want the throat man or the nose man, but that's all interconnected with your body. In law, it's the same. Oh, I think I've got this employment problem or visa problem. And in accounting, it's like, oh, I just need my payroll. And it's like, well, are you bringing, there are pieces of a puzzle. And I think we must make sure that people are generally trained and work through what's important. And we don't all become such tiny specialists. Which is, I get that people's problems are becoming more complicated, but are they really? Like, we need a joining up, really.
Yeah. Our people, we've got a lot more of them, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we just sort of feel like we need to join more of them together. Yeah, I don't know.
I think at the end of the day, no business and nobody can be fully compliant and know everything, right?
Yeah.
And so you do the best that you can. And I think that you do need somebody to prioritize, because if I look at any business, they're like, we want to be fully compliant. I'm like, well, you wouldn't have a profitable business if you did that.
Yeah.
Because it's just not humanly possible.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard balance.
So where do you think OC is going to be in 10 years?
Yeah, I think we have actually reached the, what's it called, the critical mass that we've already been through bombshells, but I think we've got to a stage now that it has enough of a culture and a brand that it's kind of its own thing. So I think the thing that might be difficult for us as a family is if it's less, if we're less influential over the longer term, that might feel, I don't know, it really depends how all evolves, doesn't it? I mean, from our perspective as a family, how many of us are still around? I could be gone tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So it's and that could take several forms, isn't it? Because someone else could get sick, and that means you have to stop work. Like, Prana got really sick or something. That has a similar effect. So it's not even just me getting sick. It's like either of us, or So, but that's very present in our minds, I guess, as a family. I mean, that's just so. Difficult to get your head around at the moment. But yeah, I think certain things are really getting there. You really feel it. You really feel that there's like if we did the Olympics of professional services or whatever, we'd do well.
We'd smash it.
Yeah, we might smash. It would be better if you did if every
the Slough Olympics.
Had to hold a party. We'd have the best party. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. We've got it. Well, no, it's a family effort. I think it is. It's like I feel very attached to this building though and stuff. Like that. I know it doesn't mean much, but that graffiti on the outside. I asked Lee the other day. He's like, "Oh, I think you've got that now." And then he says, "Be careful, it doesn't become known as a local landmark, because then it becomes listed." And I was like, "We're listed." And he's like, you're listed. And we did that. Okay, that's great. He said, to get something like that on the side of a building, and it's such a great. And I was like, who picked it? And he was like, that's what he does. He picks slogans of really famous poets. What's he called?
Seb Lester.
Seb Lester. Yeah, I've learned his name too. I've seen it on the building so many times. And they just picked that one, and they want to do 150 of them around London for next mural week or whatever. And it's all part of that, trying to live in painted cities, and just little things like that make it really fuck, you can't give up this building now, man. It just looks so cool. Like you come to it and you're like, and it looks like 10 Downing Street, which I didn't really realise, but everyone's
what have you only just realised?
Well, I thought there must be hundreds of buildings in London but people are like, it looks just like 10 Downing Street, and then it's like, it's got, there's just too much.
Oh my God, we've always had people taking pictures at the front of the building.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, since we began, because it's completely number 10.
We should copy it a bit more, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it needs, the front door needs fixing, but yeah. People come and are always taking pictures.